Hello and welcome to the Strategic Bookkeeper podcast. I have just wrapped an interview with Karen Andrews. She is one of our tribe members inside the program. She runs a practice called Vivid Enterprise. Now, I'm on here right now doing this intro so I can tell you a few things. And the first thing I'll let you know is you cannot miss this podcast episode. Listen and listen again, okay? Now, I'm interviewing some tribe members because the doors to our program are opening very soon, one last time, 2024. However, not only will this episode give you some great insights into someone who joined the program only 8 weeks ago, they have absolutely broken even on the entire year's fee for the program, so that's pretty common, but it's going to give you her insights, but also Karen shares her journey from before she was a bookkeeper right up until she opened her practice. It's incredible. And then Karen shares so many other things. Now, let me tell you right now, Karen is a smart cookie. She is running arguably one of Australia's best bookkeeping practices, okay? There is tons we can all learn from Karen. And then you might say to yourself, well, why did she join the program if she's already got a really rock solid practice? Well, you're going to discover that inside the episode as well, okay? So without further ado, let's jump in and meet Karen Andrews. I'm Jeannie Savage, the Strategic Bookkeeper. I've been in practice for 14 years, but more importantly, 5 years in, I achieved a lifestyle practice. This means I scaled my business, could take my hands off the wheel, and draw a nice six-figure income while being time rich. And that's what I call my dream on my terms. I was recently awarded Women in Finance Innovator of the Year, recognizing my book, my podcast, my program, and my impact globally. The Strategic Bookkeeper is my life's work, and the opportunity to help bookkeepers globally achieve the income and lifestyle that sets them free absolutely fills my cup. Please do connect with me on socials at the Strategic Bookkeepers Way private Facebook group, or shoot me an email, hello@thestrategicbookkeeper.global. Welcome to the podcast, Karen.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, let's jump straight in as I like to do. Firstly, I'm really grateful for you coming on the show. We are all crazy busy, and Karen is here to really give you her insights just so that you can understand who she is, what she does, when she joined the program, which I'm excited about because Karen's a newbie, so you get a different perspective. I interviewed another Karen recently, Karen Thompson. This is Karen Andrews. So Karen Thompson is a year in graduate club, and Karen Andrews is brand new. So I love seeing, the stories behind all different tribe members for you today. Okay. So basically the first thing I think it'd be great to hear from Karen, because Karen and I were just chatting before the podcast on mummy stuff too. And so Karen, would you just tell us a bit about who you are, a nutshell on your practice, and professionally, personally, whatever it is in your heart to share?
Okay, well, I might start with how I got into bookkeeping, which was quite a long journey. So I know I'm not the only one who didn't start their career in bookkeeping, and my journey actually began really far from that. So at school, I was always very drawn to maths and science. From there, I thought, I want to do something in the medical field, and I went and did a biomedical science degree at Monash Uni. And while I was doing that, I was really drawn to how drugs work. Some of the lectures we did sort of touched on it, and I'm like, all right, I really like that. And that field is called pharmacology. So I did an honours degree in pharmacology. I looked at the pharmacological effects of the inland taipan, which is one of the most venomous snakes in Australia. And from there, I thought, oh, yeah, this is definitely for me. I went on and did a PhD, and I moved focus a bit there. I wanted to do something that was a bit more in the medical field. I thought, not many people get bitten by the inland taipan, so it wasn't really, it wasn't really worth it for me. So I started working on the impact of a new treatment for diabetes and its effect on blood vessels. So that began a long career working around different drugs that affect blood vessels. So high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes. So I started there. What did I learn doing research? Well, it gives you great learning in how to solve problems, how to research things thoroughly, how to think critically. So I learned how to design experiments, write really clearly, and more importantly, concisely. That's a really important thing in research. And how to bring order and structure to complex things, always break it down and make it, understandable. So these actually worked really well. And as I've discovered, later on, they're incredibly useful skills in bookkeeping as well. So it's certainly been a journey. So just before I finished my PhD, I was offered a job in Calgary in Canada. I just got married. My husband and I loved snow skiing. So we thought, beauty, let's go. So we spent 2 years there. I did my postdoctoral studies there. He worked there as well. And then we decided, we're getting into our late 20s by then. Maybe it's time for a family. Wasn't really keen on doing that without any family around. So we came back. I got a job at Monash and then RMIT. We had 2 kids pretty quickly, had 2 boys. I moved to the Baker Heart and Diabetes Institute in Melbourne here. It's at the Alfred Hospital. So I worked my way up there, ended up managing a lab of around 15 researchers, research assistants. I mentored other honours students and PhD students and learned how to really manage people and projects while I was there. So around that time, my husband also started his own business and he began a building business. So I jumped in and helped him with the books. And this is where I really started my bookkeeping career. So I was doing research, taking care of 2 kids, very, very busy. And that's where I started really wanting to streamlining and automate the bookkeeping that I was doing as much as I could, because I didn't really have time for it. So I guess that's where I started that journey, and I still practice that today. Any way we can streamline and automate our processes, we definitely do it.
Okay.
Continuing along as we got the biggest surprise of our lives. And a few months later, our daughter was born when the boys were 9 and 11. So went back to having a young child, had maternity leave. I loved being at home. I just thought, I'm not really keen on going back and doing that anymore. I did go back for a while and then thought, all right, it's time to do something different. So I'd always loved the order of bookkeeping. So I thought, all right, I'm gonna give that a go. And me being who I am, I always want to do things in the right order. So I thought I'm gonna go get a job being a bookkeeper. So I did that. I went and got a job at a garden supply place. It turned out to be the biggest rescue job I've ever done. It was a really bad conversion from MYOB to Xero. But it's where I learnt Xero because we had to basically reconstruct 3 years of 3 years of the books. So I learnt Xero. I loved it. And I also met my 2 amazing colleagues that still worked with me today, Dee and Carolyn. So they're now part of my team. That's where I met them. So I already knew how amazing they were because I'd worked with them prior. So it made building a team a lot easier. So while I was there, I also completed my Certificate 4. So Dee and I actually did that at the same time. So that made it better. Both became BAS agents and we started the business. I started the business. Dee was my first employee and later Carolyn joined us. And my first client was actually my research professor. She got out of research and opened a few bookshops. And we worked really well together. And yeah, she was my first client. So that was a nice way to get someone to trust you, because I think that's probably one of the hard things about starting your own business in bookkeeping is, having someone trust you that you know what you're doing. And one of the first referrals I got from her was an IT specialist who's still one of my clients today, one of my favorite clients, and turned out to be an amazing evergreen advocacy partner, as you would say. We've got now a lot of clients in common. So because he's referred me to a lot of his clients, he's got amazing clients. They're, got established businesses that are doing really well. So together it's been amazing. Can't complain with that.
Yeah.
And today we've expanded significantly. So we've got a team of 10, including me. So we've got 5 here in Australia and 5 in the Philippines. So I started the journey with the Philippines team about soon after the business. So there was D&I, and then I thought, where should we go? I've been hearing about, how well team in the Philippines can grow your business. I went to a couple of seminars. It's one of the best things I've done for the business was to grow the team that way, because it's allowed me to offer more services and
and more value.
Absolutely. So I think it wasn't really about the money, it was about how we wanted to run the business as a whole. So so I don't really do a lot of bookkeeping these days. I don't do much bookkeeping. I do a lot of onboarding, some of the rescue and rectification work that we do, some project work for when we're implementing new softwares, which I love doing that kind of stuff. So I guess overall it's been quite a journey. I wouldn't have done it any other way though.
Okay, and how many years in practice now?
I think it's around 6. So
okay. I remember, I talk about my first 5 years. So 6 years is still reasonably young. Thank you so much for your story. A couple of things I want to touch on there. So I've got the bookkeeping practice blueprint in front of me. Did you see the new version I just posted in the Facebook group?
No, I haven't.
The heavens are opening. So we listened to Karen, and 50% of bookkeepers say, Jeannie, I just need to find new clients. But look, with a broken practice, that's not going to help you anyway. But we do need to find clients. And I'm looking at the bookkeeping practice blueprint right now. I'm going to drop a copy of this into the show notes. And there are really only 5 key definitive ways for bookkeepers that are going to work really, really well. I mean, we can do anything, right? We can go and post generally in business groups on Facebook. Oh my goodness, please don't do that. But we can do anything to hustle and try and get a result. But the 5 ways, listen up, are existing audience, networking, EAPs. These are the 3 you should focus on. Then you've got paid and summits. Don't try those at home without supervision, please, kids, right? So you heard Karen say exactly like I got my first client. It was someone in her existing network. Mine was, somebody that I'd worked with in work as well. And then her second client that came from that turned into a partner. So we've got existing audience, networking, evergreen advocacy partners. And, Karen, I think to some extent what we need to do is simple, but simple doesn't mean easy, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
In the implementer yesterday, I put my tough coach hat on. I sought permission to do so and to be honest, but I said that it will forever be a frustration, for example, inside the tribe, when I see someone go rogue and do something like spend hours and hours and hours creating long form social media text posts or posting generally in business groups or doing all these things. And that means the time they spend on those activities, they're not spending on these really simple existing audience, network, EAPs. Do you know what I mean? So rather than sit down for an hour or 2 and make a hit list of the kind of partners, they could be clients, it could be in your networking group, whatever, and then reach out to them using our formula, they go and do something else that, yes, there's a million strategies, but they don't get them a result. And then it's only those bookkeepers that will say, oh, it's not working. And I say, well, it's a different recipe. You're getting a floppy cake out of the oven, right? So
yeah. Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing all that. And I just really wanted to connect that. So the next thing, I go back to my little notes here. So I really want Karen to help everyone to understand her experience. So let's start with when you joined the program, Karen.
So I joined the program about 8 weeks ago. So I'm very, very new. Do you want me to tell you why I joined?
Yes, that is my next one.
I joined because I was finding I was a little bit stale in the business. I'd lost a bit of the love. I was wondering why I wasn't seeing more profit. And this was very demotivating overall. I was, just thinking, why am I doing this? So I had done another program previously, and I loved how it affected our business, and that's where I learned a lot of the strategies that I still use today. But there was, there's always room for improvement, and I thought, I think I need another program to really motivate me to keep going and improving our processes. The wheels had fallen off in a few different areas, and I thought, I need help. So when I started looking into it, I was like, all right, there's a million programs out there. And being a researcher, I researched everything. I think I joined your starter
Starter
membership.
membership. Yep.
I read and looked at everything through there. I joined a couple of other, starter membership things. I had a look at everything. And I think the way you were talking about increasing profit and getting more time freedom and the way you delivered your starter membership package really resonated with me. I was like,
Right.
okay, these are the things that I think I need. And I really wanted to increase our profit and grow the business. And I thought everything you were saying just really resonated. And I thought this is going to work. And I haven't been wrong. So that's good. So thank you.
Amazing. And quick podcast interruption. The doors to my transformation program are opening for one final time in 2024. This is your last chance to get in this year. To get all the details with zero obligation, head over to the strategicbookkeeper.global/waitlist. Add your name to the list to be the first in line for all the info and early access to exclusive bonuses. Do not miss out, my friends. I'll see you in there. Karen and I have talked before, and I was quite interested in why Karen joined, because Karen's making a healthy profit. Is it half what she could make? Absolutely. Do we think we can double that in a year? Absolutely. But there could be a perception that the only bookkeepers who join are bookkeepers who need more revenue, right? And it's not about revenue, number one, it's about business and it's about profit. But that was really insightful for me. So what I would say too is, so I'm assuming you read the book before you joined?
I read the book when I joined the starter membership. I actually listened to it on Spotify.
Yeah, the audio book. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess the next things that might be nice for everyone to understand, I'd love to ask you. Don't know how you're going to answer this one, but what did you think once you joined and you got the welcome email and you got into the academy?
I thought, oh my goodness, I never expected there to be so much in here. That's what I thought. I thought I'm going to be here for a year just listening to everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty overwhelming to start with, but I think I've done about probably close to 70% of the content in that time because I'm very good. I love listening to audio, and I either am doing a fiction book or a business book, or now for the last 8 weeks, I've only been listening to you talk. So
yeah, great.
So that's been really, really motivating. And it's reminded me why I'm doing it, and it's helped me identify the two main ways that I really want to work on over the next couple of months to increase time and profit. I know what they are. I just have to go and implement it now.
Yeah, and we're there to hold your hand every step of the way. Okay, I love that you're doing it audio, because for anyone listening, please, 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 when you come in, the best thing to do, and actually, oh my goodness, Karen, my osteo the other day said to me, he said, when you're driving and you do audio content, and I mean, I don't drive that much. I'm no different to anyone else, but I always do audio content driving. He said something about it primes you to absorb it. Like we're kind of on autopilot when we're driving. Versus I was just at the gym, and normally I have groovy music, right? But this time I'm like, no, I really want to do AI in video education, right? I listened to it twice and I still need to listen again. I'm going to throw money at that lady. I love her, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, because listening to everything audio style, then when you're working on the job, being able to go back in and go, right, like you're saying, I'll grab that because that's the thing that I really want from the toolkit, the way I think it. Like I'll get that spanner out of the toolkit because I need that spanner to tighten that thing in my practice. I've got a feeling I know the two areas you might be focusing on, but in your own words, what are they?
I'm focusing on increasing efficiency. So the way I learnt that is through your pricing calculator. Because my pricing is actually very similar to yours. Like the program that I'd done before had a great pricing. It's similar to yours, which makes me think, right, it's on the money. It's the way to do it. Yours is a lot simpler. than ours was before. So because your service offering is a lot more condensed. So I do like that. But the one thing that you have is, all right, if you're doing this amount of bookkeeping, this amount of transactions, and you add on the time for all the additional tasks you do, this is how long it should take. And that's where I've identified the team and I are perhaps over servicing our clients or we need to find ways to, bring down the time spent on each client. And I've never really structured the team's time. It was mildly structured, but it's not structured how you guys do it. So the way that you do it is highly structured. And I think, the team in the Philippines, they actually love structure. So I don't think this is going to be a problem. I've spoken to them about how we're going to change things, and they've been fantastic. They're all for it. So I think, that's one way we're going to increase efficiency. That should increase their time to be able to spend on clients. Particularly, we are going to add a few things in that you do in your bookkeeping practice that we didn't do to add value to the clients. So we're going to add value and increase efficiency. So that's the first
add
one.
Value.
And the second one is the advisory.
Yeah.
So as I said to you before, I have done another very structured advisory program. Which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I would never say anything bad about it. It was more focused towards accountants, less towards bookkeepers. And I think it basically assumed an underlying knowledge that bookkeepers don't necessarily have and don't necessarily have the confidence to provide. I think at the end of the day, we know our clients' numbers better than anyone. We have all the tools and the knowledge to provide advisory. Particularly the more clients you get, the more you see what's happening in other businesses. You know what works and what doesn't work. You can see that. And then you've given a bit of a structure about, and reminded people, you're not actually just sitting there telling people what they should do. You're actually asking the right questions so they work out what to do, because they're the expert in their field. They know they know how to run their business. I just think if you put the questions in front of them, and I've learnt this doing a few different sessions with a few of my existing clients. If you ask the right questions, they figure out how to help themselves.
They do, right? Yes, I give you and because bookkeepers think this is complex, but sometimes it's so stupidly simple. For example, I helped the first client where the strategic bookkeeper method was born. It took a year, but we pulled 250,000 extra profit out, right? And it was like this. So we'd look at the profit and loss, and I was a babe in the woods back then. We'd look at the profit and loss, and I kind of quickly figured out that you should really look at it over a 12-month period, right? Okay, then I could see trends. It really is literally a fairly smart child could sit down and figure this out. It's not that hard, and yet bookkeepers can sometimes get really scared of it. So I'd go, revenue went up that month more than usual. Why do you think that happened? And he said, I think it was a flashing sign outside the gym. And I said, oh, okay, so that would be the expense here the month before. Yeah, that's it. Do you think you should do that flashing sign again? It's another client I remember saying, oh, look, I noticed revenue spikes over the Christmas period. Why is that? Oh, we do this special project XYZ. And I said, oh, is that something that you want to do again? And they said, no, we freaking hate it. We never want to do it again. So it allowed them in that case, even though revenue went up and profit went up, they didn't want to do it. So they could make decisions to change up what they were doing, but still learn from that increase in profit. So I really wanted to put some real life scenarios behind that,
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the same thing. I've got a one client that was talking about, they're in a professional services industry, and she was talking about the work that she didn't like doing. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about that work. Why do you not like doing it? Turns out it wasn't the reason she didn't like doing it, but it also, she made a third of the profit that she made from doing the work she loved. So okay, stop doing that work. Don't do it anymore. So she's made that change in her business, and the profit is skyrocketing. And I think once you put it out there, all right, I don't want to do that. This is what I want to do. All the work she started to love started like piling in. She started
It's
getting
true.
referrals and she started, because she cut out doing the stuff that she didn't love, she had more energy to put into the work that she did love. And I guess the referrals started coming from there.
Yeah, and I mean, even our biggest result ever, the way we got it was just like so simple, but it did require me speaking to the client throughout the week. I just kept repeating myself, and I kept saying, Marty, job costing, job costing, job costing. Just job costing. And
Yeah.
in the end, he said, oh, we got our best profit result in 16 years because Jeannie kept saying job costing over and over. And I said, what was the most impactful part of working with me? And he said, that accountability. That's it. I don't think
Yeah.
I could run his $4 million bricklaying business. He's the expert in the business. So, yeah, we're digressing into advisory, but I'm just kind of excited to give, I'm imagining those bookkeepers out there that have got more skill than confidence, which is most bookkeepers, right? And just feeling like I couldn't do this. I couldn't open a profit and loss. And I promise you can. And Karen said our advisory module really spoke to her, and she felt confident that her staff could do the module and get trained. So I promise you, I can hold your hand every step of the way. And Karen, on your staff hours, bookkeepers are naturally detail people, but I'm going to tell you something that I'm sure everyone hates hearing. On the whole, we're too detail orientated, right? And we need to pull back on, being that detail. And Joe McMahon is classic, but she knows that too, because we were doing what you were doing, and we've learned to find that balance and leverage tech, obviously, like Dex Precision, that we really makes me sleep at night, to help us with that. So we've gone over a couple of things. I'm going to ask you, what are your favorite parts of the program?
Obviously, the advisory part we've just talked about. So that was the first thing. And I think your back end systems, actually looking at how another bookkeeping practice actually runs and the tech they use, the systems they have in place, it's allowed me already to revise and refine a lot of our systems and tech. We were already using Precision, but not in the way that you were. And I was using it more as an onboarding tool because it's great for the health check. And but we used another program that did most of the monitoring that Precision does, but we actually tested a few clients with Precision, and I think it's a lot simpler and a lot more streamlined than the other program that we were using. As much as I love that program, we do use Dex Repair as well. And, the whole ecosystem is joining up soon.
Yep.
So they're bringing out the whole new.
Aren't they? I know. Was it just, I'm so fortunate to have the CEO personally walk me through it one day. He was in Australia. I didn't fly to where he was, but we jumped on. Lovely, lovely guy, Sabi. And my jaw was open the whole time. It was amazing.
Yes, I am part of the testing group. So yes, it's amazing.
Yeah,
so yeah,
that's so exciting.
And I think, even your client manuals, we had all of that, but not as centralized and as organized as you guys have. So it's really motivated me to fix that up. I think one time you were talking about it and you said, I couldn't sleep at night because I was thinking, what if something happens? And I think we're not quite, we have a lot of systems and processes in place, so it would be all right, but not as much as we could. So that's been another thing, that we've really worked on. And I think until you look at how someone else does things, it makes you really evaluate and test, well, what could I be doing differently? How can I incorporate what you're doing into what we're doing to make it, just as good? Like, I know you keep saying you don't have to do it our way, and Joe's very good at saying that, but we can certainly take all the best parts of what you're doing and incorporate it into what we're doing with our tech and, make it all work. And it is.
I remember developing that. I call it the client-specific task instructions. Joe renamed it to the client's way, but I remember creating that and I was so happy with it. And that is, so many iterations. And then those client how-to videos, that is what really made me go. An accountant said to me, how do you guys do payroll and sleep at night? Like, because it's such a responsibility. And to know that if anything happened, I could go to my desk and there would be a set of up-to-date how-to videos on every, like it's actually a business continuity plan for every single client that you can do on the job, right? So it's not really onerous either. So that is awesome.
I think most people have most of that already. Like we had most of it. It was just about centralizing it into a way that was easy to find.
And I'm glad that you're going to be expanding out how you use Precision, because honestly, I mean, they did a massive report on us years ago how we were using it, and it's amazing. Okay, so they're your favorite parts. Now, I want to ask you, you've only been in 8 weeks, but in the coming year, like, can you see in your crystal ball the kind of actual additional dollars you think you might be able to generate in the coming year?
I think even in the 8 weeks since I've joined, I would say I'm cost neutral at the moment, just because of the few things that I've implemented since I started. So just the fresh eyes fee, I wasn't doing that. I wasn't charging probably the right amount for the catch up and, you know, the onboarding work that we do. So I've changed that. So already cost neutral just on the 2 clients we've onboarded.
Since it's easy to get a return.
And yeah, I do believe that we can double our profits by the end of the year.
I do too.
Yeah, you know, that's something that we're really going to work really hard on. Like I have already, as you said, I do have a quite established profitable business. So to be able to do that is going to, you know, make the cost of it pretty insignificant, really.
Yeah, okay. So I looked at I did my napkin numbers as well, and I was like, Karen can double her profit, right? So we're talking 6-figure result in 12 months. The program's paid for itself in 8 weeks, and that it should. Do you know what? Look at people like Deb Stevenson. She's been cost neutral since the day she started. She pays a weekly fee, right? And she was always implementing something that made her, say, another $500, another $1,000. So she was always way in front. And I would say, if you follow the system, then it pays for itself immediately. And we hear from bookkeepers that say it's paid for itself in a week, a month, 2 months, right? So the only reason it's not going to do that immediately is if you don't follow the system. And whenever I catch up with a bookkeeper who says, oh, you know, I say I didn't get this conversion rate, I say, oh, you're charging for fresh eyes? No. Are you doing the video sales letter? No. And I go, okay, go do those things. And I was just speaking to one of them last night, and I think about her all the time because I'm intensively helping her a little bit. And now she's doing it. Soon as she starts doing the things, everything starts to happen. So really, really exciting. Okay, that is amazing. And I think the last question I've got is really what you would say to someone who's on the fence about joining the program.
Do it. I'd say this is without a doubt one of the most comprehensive programs I've ever come across. So you don't hold anything back. You share everything you've built, all your strategies, and you pour your heart and soul into delivering value into the program. So I've done quite a few programs, and I think the thing that sets you apart is the sheer amount of actionable insights that you provide and the done-for-you assets. So you don't usually see that. So even with an established business like mine, I know that I'm learning things that are going to help me grow my profits and give me more time freedom, both of which I want. So
yes, and I doubled my profits in 12 months in 2015. So it's completely, you know, when I did it at the end of the year, I felt kind of stupid because I was like, oh my God, like it was there all the time, right? And it's just, I had that joke in my head. I was like, well, duh. All you did was work smarter rather than harder, and you doubled your profit. So it's completely doable. And I can't wait until you're a year in and you've done that, and then we do it again. You know what I mean? And we once again take your clients that are already happy and help them make more money through Coach the Coach. Like I'm like, pumped. Yes. I just dropped the coaching toolkit. Grab it. Feel free to use it into the Facebook group. And then when you're ready for Coach the Coach too, you can just graduate early. And then, you know, we've got the whole academy and all that stuff for you too. So that's really exciting as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that is a wrap. Karen Andrews, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, my friend, now it is time to take action. So What are you going to do with what you learned today? The way I see it, you've got two options. You can go it alone to try and save some money, or you can back yourself and go for it and join my tribe. And let me tell you, we are knocking it out of the ballpark. That's not a sales pitch. That is me serving you, dare I say, courageously. To find success, I 100% know you need the mechanics, which is like the keys to the kingdom, but you also need to get your mindset right and be super productive. And these are all things I help you with inside the program. I could go on about this forever because I really want this for you. Have a prosperous week, and I'll see you in the next episode.